Hi friends, welcome to a new video on this channel. Last week I was a guest on Daniela's Facebook Live series. Daniela is an SEO consultant. She owns the boutique SEO agency in Toronto that's called Findable Digital Marketing, and you might remember her from one of the previous virtual coffee chat series episodes that I did with her about SEO and her career. Anyway, so the live that we did together with her was all about YouTube SEO. We talked about my YouTube journey, how I grew my channel during my maternity leave, some key pillars for YouTube SEO, what you need to pay attention to if you're on YouTube, if you want to grow your channel. We also talked about whether or not all businesses should be on YouTube and creating content for YouTube. So lots of juicy information. If YouTube SEO is interesting to you and if you want to learn more about my journey on YouTube and also YouTube SEO in general, then keep on watching. The interview is beginning now.
Well, thank you, Elise,
Awesome.
so much for joining today's Facebook Live. I'm super excited to talk about YouTube, especially because your story is so interesting. You grew 20,000 followers while you were on maternity leave. So I think this will be really exciting for anyone that wants to create their own channel, whether they have a
Yeah,
business or not, and learn how to grow their YouTube channel organically, understand the algorithm. I mean, you can create great content, right? But if nobody finds it, it's kind of like, what's the point? It's very
exactly.
demotivating.
Yeah, that's why I really love today's topic, and just focusing on YouTube SEO as one major piece of how to grow on YouTube. I think that's very important, and that's not a topic that's talked so much about, actually.
Mhm. Yeah,
So I love that we're going to talk about that.
yeah. When I brought this up to some friends that are videographers and creatives that are creating content online, they're like, Daniela, you're like killing the creativity in us.
I know. My brother says the same thing. Like, he's also a videographer, and he really wants to focus on the art side of
Yeah,
everything. Um, so whenever I start talking about the SEO pieces and like how he can improve his channel, he's like, no, this is getting boring for me. Like, I
yeah.
don't want to do that part, which I completely understand. But it's
Mhm,
that, if you have the goal to grow and if you
mhm.
want to be aware of what you need to be doing, at least in the back of your mind, so that maybe you can start implementing it, then
Yeah,
it's important to know
yeah.
what's.
And something I'm really looking forward to talking about today is what point do you think about SEO? Do you think about it after you create the videos or before? How integrated is it into your strategy, which we can
Yeah.
talk about? But hopefully, the main takeaway is for people to understand that the order that YouTube puts the videos on in their page is not just by chance. There's an
Oh
algorithm
yeah,
behind it, and
totally.
YouTube is a business. It's owned by Google, and they want to get eyeballs. They're trying to make money off advertising, and so the way that videos are shown are based on their commercial interests. It's about them
Yeah.
making money. So if you can kind of understand the algorithm, what their intentions are, then you can kind of, use it to your advantage. Which way?
Absolutely. And I mean, one of the main reasons, apart from creating the art itself, is that you want to grow the channel because you want
Mm-hmm.
your content to reach more people.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have that intention at all, which I believe most creators do, then you need to have that knowledge, in my opinion, or you need to be implementing some tactics so that your channel can actually reach your audience.
Exactly.
Otherwise it's there, it's beautiful, but uh, if no one knows about it, then what's the point?
Exactly. And it's demotivating, right? You're spending all this time and energy into
Yes,
creating
because it is
something.
a lot of time investment for sure, and money investment too, because you need the equipment. Like, I mean, you don't have to start with like very high quality equipment, but you still use something and
Mhm.
you still invest a lot of time into it. So you want to kind of see the reward too.
So that's a good segue to asking you this question. Tell us about you and tell us about your YouTube story, your journey. How did you get into
For
it?
sure. Okay, so I have been working in the digital marketing industry. So I'm still a digital marketing consultant. I did not initially start in digital marketing, which is actually one of the things that I talk about on my channel as well, how people can shift their careers into digital marketing and why I kind of moved toward this route, which I really, really love, by the way.
Mhm,
But yeah, anyway, I'm currently still digital marketing consultant, and I'm also teaching marketing analytics at George Brown,
mhm,
and possibly a few more courses that may happen. We'll see in the next semester. And a content creator on YouTube. So that is, I guess, like a three-piece thing for my introduction. And YouTube, so I haven't always been a YouTuber. I had a blog for so many years, probably since 2010, 2012, those years, where blogging was trending, but it wasn't the first years of blogging. Anyway, so I had a lot of experimenting with blogging, but I never really focus on a niche. And I know that, you know, if you want to be successful with your blogging, if you want to reach your audience, obviously because of my marketing knowledge, I know all of that, but I wasn't applying it to my blog because I was doing it more for the hobby and just because I really loved writing and sharing about my travels and stuff. So something that I want to mention, like in today's conversation, is kind of comparing blogging to YouTube, because it is a big topic that most marketers think about when they're, you know, kind of thinking about their strategy. Is that I haven't really seen success with blogging because, one, I didn't really have a niche. But at one point in my marketing career, I realized that, you know, the hype, the trend is video marketing. Everyone is talking about video, video, video. And I'm like, okay, this is an area that I have no knowledge about. And I know that at one point I have to talk about this with my clients. I need to integrate this into their strategies. So I said, you know, if this is like my profession, I need to know this. I need to, you know, be ahead of the game. So that's why I decided to start YouTube in the first place. I wanted to experiment with the platform. I never had the intention of, you know, becoming I'm going to say almost a full-time YouTuber at the moment, because that is what I'm focusing on. I never had that goal in the beginning. It was more so to understand the platform and understand how I can integrate, how that works for SEO in general.
It started like an experiment.
Exactly. And I also wanted to learn how to edit videos, because I knew that was a skill that's very, very important. And that's a skill that I was very weak in. So that's the, you know, the first steps into my YouTube story. And then I made videos that was kind of parallel with my blog, which was about more travel and lifestyle type of videos. But in late 2018, when we moved to Toronto, like it was just a couple months after we had moved here, I was working from home. I was still in digital marketing, working for an agency. And I realized that there's this trend for day in the life type of videos. And I wanted to see if there's a video specifically for a day in the life of a digital marketing manager, which was my role at the time. And when I looked at the content, I didn't see anything. And that was also the time in my life where I decided I wanted to create content about marketing too, and not just lifestyle and travels, because that wasn't a key part of my life anymore. We were, you know, more so like based out of Toronto. And anyway, so that's a long story, but so I decided to make that video because I just saw that opportunity of like that gap, and that was an opportunity basically. So that video was the reason why my YouTube channel kind of started to grow in the first place too, because it was picked up by the YouTube algorithm a couple months later. So I had been creating more marketing related videos, but it wasn't until I guess summer of 2019 where that video specifically was picked up by YouTube algorithm, which then motivated me to create more and more videos about that same subject.
So up to that point, you were vlogging and blogging about travel and more lifestyle pieces. You made this one video about day in the life of a marketing manager, and then shortly after it picked up by Google, by YouTube.
Yes, but that was the first video that was about marketing. I had a couple more career related posts, but not specifically for digital marketing. Then when I realized that video has potential, I thought to myself, okay, maybe I should create a series of videos about marketing and share my tips, because that's like my whole day. Well, that's what I do. And that's what I'm really good at. So I started sharing more marketing tips. But still, when I was making those initial, maybe let's say 10, 15, 20 videos, there was some growth, but it was very, very slow. And that's also the period when I didn't really pay attention to YouTube SEO.
Mm-hmm.
So that is also another point to make. So with the day in the life video, I've realized that's a content opportunity, but with the other videos, I started to build that niche, but I wasn't still paying attention to the SEO. That was also a learning curve for me because I was new to the platform. I knew, like, how regular SEO works for website, but not for YouTube SEO.
Mm-hmm.
So in the meantime, I just kept learning more and more about that. And once the initial day in the life video was picked up, and all of a sudden on one day, I was seeing like tens of thousands of views and
Wow.
many new subscribers, I then realized that there is more potential, that that is the niche that I need to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
And if I want to keep growing this channel, then I need to keep making more videos, which was actually how I got motivated to keep the channel going, because that was the first months of my daughter. Like she was just recently born, and it wasn't really my main focus in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But when I saw that growth, I just realized, okay, this really does have potential. I need to do something with it, and I need to, keep delivering more valuable content to this audience, because I really loved that sense of community in YouTube, which I
Mm-hmm.
hadn't seen in blog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard with blogs. I like that you talked about, your journey and the phases that you went through. The beginning was very much a discovery phase, right? Where you're
Yeah,
seeing what you like, but also what other people are interested in, and finding that kind of, if it was a Venn diagram, right? What's in the middle. And
yeah,
so, and then, after you try different things, you figure out what your niche is and what you want to double down on. So I like that
exactly.
that you were honest about that. It's not like you had it all together from day
Yeah,
one.
no, no, absolutely not. It was more so I wanted to just, the initial goals was I wanted to learn how to do videos. That's one. The second thing is I wanted to learn YouTube. And that's how I started. And then I realized that um, the one thing that's really, really great about YouTube is that your audience is, YouTube audience is very engaged,
Mm-hmm.
and they kind of tell you what they want from you,
Hmm.
which was something I saw from blogging for many years. Like I had maybe done it for, 6, 7, 8 years, and I never saw that feedback from the
Right.
blog audience, kind of directing me where to go with my content. But with YouTube, shortly after I did a couple of marketing videos, I knew that's what I needed to do.
Mm-hmm. That was actually going to be, I have, like, if you see me looking down, it's because I have notes and I'm writing notes as I'm like, oh, I'm learning this. Let me write this down. It was actually, I was going to ask you is, why do you like YouTube? So I guess that's one, right? Is that you get a little bit more of a
The
response and
community,
it's a lot
for
more
sure.
engaging. Are there any other reasons why you like YouTube?
Um, I really find it more personable, and that people can really, um, like the content resonates more because they see your personality. I think it shines through better
Mm-hmm.
with video content over written content.
Mm-hmm.
And I had always thought that, I wasn't comfortable in front of a camera.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the reasons why I went with blogging for so many years. Like I had never, picked up the camera and
Mm-hmm.
recorded myself because I didn't feel comfortable with that. But as soon as I realized that that's a better way to connect with people, that's also another thing that clicked with me. And I was like, okay, this is a major differentiator for YouTube. And I
Mm-hmm.
need to, I just became more comfortable over time too. So, if I was to kind of filter it down to two main reasons, one is the engagement, the community with
Mm-hmm.
YouTube. And second is that you can connect better with people, I think, through
Mm-hmm.
video.
That's awesome. Now, I want to talk a little bit about how you can use YouTube if you're a business owner. So I know some YouTubers are, they make a business out of it.
Yeah.
But what I mean by business owner, I mean use it as a sales or marketing tool. So maybe if you have a product, you can use
Hmm.
YouTube to do like, to show different features, or do like a tutorial if you have like a tech.
Tutorials are actually perfect on YouTube, by the way. That's one
Mhm.
of the greatest things that I think businesses can do. Um, I don't think people go to YouTube to find salesy videos or
Mhm.
to like they do go to YouTube to search for futures and how-tos a lot, but not necessarily to make the decision to buy a product through an advertisement type of video.
Right.
That's not what YouTube is for at all. I think one of the aspects that can be really leveraged with YouTube for businesses is the HR piece as well. So people really go to YouTube to see how the culture of a company
Mm.
is. And I think it can be a great way to show how the team works. And I've actually seen a couple of great examples on YouTube where I've seen it from some marketing agencies where they've chosen like for 1 week where one team member just does vlogging for a week and shows the week of in their life. So
Cool.
it's really a perfect reflection of, you know, what a new candidate can expect if they join that company, like
Mhm.
how they work, which tools they use in their daily lives and stuff like that. People really love seeing those behind the scenes type of things.
Mhm.
Um, and I think it's YouTube can be really used for those kinds of videos, but also for other things like tutorials and how-to videos, which I also like. I, as a customer of many technology tools, I go to YouTube to find how-tos. I don't like to read a how-to
Yeah.
tutorial.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just much easier and much faster to watch something and,
Yeah.
you know, do the same while you're watching it.
Absolutely. That the behind the scenes and behind the scenes and HR points is a good one. Now, you talked about how to's are really important. So what about a service-based company? Would you recommend that a service-based company use YouTube as a way to demonstrate their expertise and sell
Yes,
themselves that way?
absolutely. Absolutely. So it's one of the other great things about YouTube. I'm always like talking about the great things, but it really helps you to build your personal brand, but also, you know, if you're a business, then that your business as well. It really helps you to build your thought leadership and
Hmm.
show that you are an expert in a field.
Hmm.
You might not just maybe you might do, you know, these types of interview videos with other industry professionals that can be really valuable to your audience. That could be something that you do. um, or sometimes you could talk about case studies. Maybe I've seen like very great, very successful examples of case study type videos where again customers are interviewed, or if it's yeah, I mean, so we're talking about service-based businesses, so case
Yep.
studies and like those types of interviews could really work well too.
Now, a common uh, objection I hear a lot with service-based businesses when I provide the idea of doing content marketing, right? Whether it's a blog or a vlog, they say, "Well, I don't want to share too much information. I'm selling my expertise and selling my
I know, I've
I'm
heard this so
selling,
many
I'm selling
times.
my knowledge. I don't want to tell them everything because then they won't hire me." What do you say to that?
It's, I mean, so my expertise in marketing is inbound, right? So I am the exact opposite of this thought, and I've struggled so many times to convince my clients in the past too about this. But the thing is, so I mean, imagine this. So I'm also, let's consider me as a service-based business too, because I do sell consulting services. Like
Hmm.
that's one piece of the work that I do. But I share so much information for free on YouTube.
Yeah.
And this has only helped me to reach a larger audience. And and through all of these videos, whoever watches my videos, they understand how knowledgeable I am, or
Exactly.
they decide if they can trust me with my services by watching this content. So, I mean, one of the main things about inbound, like embracing the inbound methodology with marketing, is that you give, and then people come to you because you're providing so much value. So I do disagree with that.
Yeah, me too. I agree with you that, you know, and it's worked for me. I've never ever pitched my services in my life. People come to
It's
me.
also very difficult to pitch your services. I mean, that's even more challenging. It's much um, better. I think it also builds stronger relationships
Mhm.
when people come to you because they've already trusted um, you through your content. They found you through your content. They were
Mhm.
already doing the research.
Mhm.
They were already, you know, they came to your funnel basically
Mhm.
through the value that you're providing.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I would love to try to pitch. I haven't done it before. it's such a different strategy. And personally, instead of sending 100 emails every day, I would rather use that energy to create content and just demonstrate my expertise, show you what I can do for you, right? Like if this is free content, imagine what it would be like if it was customized and bespoke to you. So I'm a huge fan of it. I think YouTube can be really, I'm trying it out now. And we can talk about that in a moment, about how I'm using YouTube for my own SEO. But yeah, I'm would love to hear.
Yeah, I'd love to hear your, like, how your experience is going with YouTube and video marketing too, because I know you were considering it last year, but you weren't doing video yet, I think.
No. I'm doing these videos.
Correctly.
Oh, sorry, you cut out. I'm doing these videos and I repurpose them and I put them on YouTube and I get some traffic from there. I mean, it's still too early to say, and I'm really not, like, the editing is not that great and I need to work on my thumbnails. I have a lot to work on, but I've seen embedding videos into my blog posts have a huge advantage. So I see the advantage there. I haven't seen anything directly on YouTube, but yeah, I'm interested to hear a little bit more about you. Okay, so let's talk about the algorithm. So in SEO, as you probably know, a lot of it is a mystery. Google tells us some things, and then the rest we kind of have to figure out on our own, just from observation, studies, trial and error. And a lot of SEO people can pretty much categorize the algorithm into like 3, maybe 4 pillars. So you got technical SEO, content or on page, and keywords, and then you have backlinks, and then maybe a 4th would be user experience. Is there something like that with the YouTube algorithm? Can we say like these are the 2, 3 most important factors? What does the YouTube algorithm like?
I can't say that we can really divide it into pillars, but there are things that need to be done for for a video, for a channel to be optimized in the eyes of YouTube, let's say. So one thing is definitely the title that you're using. And so I know that you're going to ask me this later on, but maybe just I can briefly mention it. When I am creating the videos, that is maybe one of the first pieces that I decide on. So I decide on a topic first, like a broad topic, let's say, like I know what I want to talk about in that video. But when it comes to actually working the language in the video and working the title, I do the research first. And that is a huge piece in YouTube SEO. You need to have a great title filled with keywords that you've already done some research about through different tools that you can use, and you know that those keywords or that long tail keyword that you use in your title has some good potential, and that you can actually bring your video into the competition, because there are YouTube has so many videos, obviously, and there is very, very high competition with some keywords. But if you do your research beforehand, and if you do it very smartly, then you can find a cluster of keywords, let's say, that still have good search volume but less competition. So that is one piece. Thumbnails are another piece, because you need to increase the click-through rate. So your thumbnails really need to be designed well. It doesn't mean that it has to be like professionally designed. Nowadays we have like amazing tools like Canva, which I'm a fan of, that you can design your thumbnails with. It just needs to be attractive, and it needs to have the top keywords that your audience might be searching for when they're searching for that topic.
Okay, so you put the keyword in the design of the thumbnail.
Yeah, just because that's the initial thing they see. Like I know it's a very tiny image that they see when they, when the search results come up, but it's still important that they see those numbers. I mean, if it's numbers, if it's like some keywords, they see it on the thumbnail so that it attracts them. Another thing is the tags that you use with your videos and the description bar, the description box. So that is one of the most underused areas as far as I've seen. And it takes a lot of time to fill up that description box, to be honest. Like, it's even something that I sometimes feel lazy when I'm doing, because a good best practice that I've seen lately is that some people, some creators are actually using so the description box has a lot of character space, and you can include chunks of text that you are like the transcription of the text that you're using in the video. Not all of it, but the main pieces, you can actually include that in the description box, and that's really helpful for SEO as well. So I guess I mentioned 4 pieces.
Description box and tags. I mean, I suppose the idea is to use as many features YouTube gives you, right?
Yes, exactly. So sometimes we feel that that's a no-brainer, like that's what everyone should be doing. But if any platform, not just for YouTube, if LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever platform you're using, if they're giving you that character count or a feature that you can fill your information with, use it to its maximum, because it does make a difference, especially with YouTube channel. If you optimize your channel with links, with a header image and all of that, like the video that the first video that people see when they land on your YouTube channel, stuff like that. If you utilize all of those features, it helps to optimize your channel too.
So you've said so far the title, the thumbnail, the tags, and the description box. Is there anything else?
Not really. I mean, in the past, I've read that it also helps if you comment on other people's videos, if you engage, that drives traffic back to your videos. But that's not really about SEO. That's more so about like driving the traffic because you're getting more noticed by new users.
Right.
But those are the main things for YouTube SEO that can be utilized.
Do likes or subscription, like do metrics matter?
Yes. So the engagement, well, the comments, the likes, subscribes too, obviously, because that's how people get notified of your new videos. But I'm not sure if that has a direct connection with the SEO of a specific video.
Right.
The engagement on the video is important for YouTube to realize, so that it can, in the future, if it realizes that the engagement is really, if it's killing it, then that's a reason for YouTube to pick that video and start showing it on people's home pages or in the recommended box, like when you finish watching a video in the sidebar. But initially, when you publish a new video, those 4 things are the key elements that you need to work on. And then also, that's the reason why, I mean, this subscribe, like, engage, those kinds of things, that the call to actions that creators mention in the videos are more so not for the SEO, but more for the YouTube algorithm to realize that this video is being liked, so that in the future it can be picked up.
Right. Yeah. So it sounds like it indirectly is.
Indirectly, yeah. It's like not in the very short term.
Yeah.
But in the midterm and indirectly, yes, it does help.
Yeah, that's like website SEO, where if you have comments, if you have people staying on your website longer, if they're clicking more things, if people are very engaged on your website, that means that the quality of your content is even higher, and it gives you a push. And like you said, it would need lots of people to do that for Google to pay attention. Just having one person highly engaged is not going to make a big difference, but a lot of people essentially these signals.
So one good tip that people can utilize is to write the first comment yourself and pin that comment, and possibly ask a question that your audience can answer. It can be a question that you ask within the video and you just repeat it in the comment, and you pin your own comment. I don't think pinning the comment has a relationship with SEO, but it's more to trigger people to engage more within the comment section.
Right. I see what you mean. Absolutely. I've heard, and I don't know if maybe this is a rumor, that if you say the keyword inside the video, that Google can or YouTube can pick it up, like it hears the audio. Do you know if this is true, or maybe it has to be in the captions?
I don't know, but this reminds me that I forgot to mention one very important thing, which is the captions. So subtitles and captions, which wasn't a practice that I have been doing. I mostly used the auto-generated captions for English videos.
Right.
But I've read couple of months ago that is a very, very important piece as well. And that's why services such as rev.com, they're quite popular among YouTubers.
Yeah, I
Which
figured.
I'm also going to start doing. I haven't done it. So that's why I forgot to mention this in the beginning, but that's also very important.
I have, excuse me if these are like naive questions. I have two questions. So something I've noticed with titles is that people tend to put them in all caps, and something with thumbnails is I've noticed that people use photos of themselves. Like they use a photo of a person. It's just not like a graphic.
Yeah.
Is,
Yeah.
is that like, have you, in your own experience, have you seen that increases the CTR, the click-through rate?
So I've read a lot of best practices on this, and that's why I've never actually experimented with thumbnails, to be honest, that weren't my face, that didn't include my face. I
Mhm.
know that. So one thing I know, which I haven't tried, is people suggest that you use these facial expressions,
Mm,
but not just regular, smiling type of facial expression, but like shock or fear
okay.
or, something like that. Like people use these kinds of facial expressions
To
for their
get people to
thumbnail.
click. Wow.
It's kind of like, in the past when people used to, I mean, not in the past, so some people do it, but like those clickbait keywords that were used in videos, I find that those facial expressions are kind of the same thing
Yeah, it's
for
like
me.
the visual
Um,
equivalent.
it's the visual equivalent of that. So I haven't done those exaggerated facial expressions. So I don't know if it works or not. I would assume so, but I
Yeah,
haven't tried.
it seems like people have these, and I see this a lot in SEO, is like these little details, these little tactics to get people to
Yeah,
click. And it seems like click through rate is a really important part in how Google,
it is.
I keep saying Google because it's owned by Google, but how YouTube
Yeah.
pushes videos and recommends it. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I've seen so many like videos, I mean, video thumbnails where, someone has this like crying face, like with, tear emojis, and then like dollar signs, loss, or something like that, like something that really strikes attention. And you're like, oh, what did this person lose so much money? I need to click on this video, which
right.
increases the CTR. But then, if does the video deliver the promise that they've made
Mm.
through those keywords in the thumbnail? That's another question.
Right. Okay, I got one more question, and then I'll look into the live. So if you're watching, if you have any questions, feel free to let us know in the comments, and I'll look at them in a moment. So we talked about the similarities and some of the differences between general website SEO and YouTube SEO. It sounds like YouTube is just like the visual equivalent. They're not
Yeah,
so as many factors. It's a little bit more simplified. What I
it
would
is.
like
Yeah, it's simplified.
Yeah. What I would like to talk about is, do they help each other? So I think your perspective is really interesting because I was on your website earlier today, and you create blog posts for each YouTube video, and you were blogging before you created a YouTube channel. So I'm curious to know if, okay, I'm going to break this question up into two parts. Maybe is, have you noticed if the YouTube channel helps your website, or if the website helps your YouTube channel, either in terms of SEO or in terms of
Yeah.
traffic? Do people that watch your YouTube channel go to your blog, or vice versa? That's a long
Um,
question, sorry.
no, that's a very good question, which I've had some time to think about before this live as well. So YouTube channel definitely helps my website because it does drive a lot of. YouTube actually helps, website SEO, but also my personal brand in general, and also my other social media channels. So because YouTube reaches a lot more people, it has helped me with all of the other platforms, including my website, for sure. And it drove a lot of newsletter subscribers for me too,
Oh, okay.
which is very important because it wasn't something I was really primarily focusing on. But because of YouTube, I decided to focus on email marketing too. So, I mean, it really triggered this positive change on how I treat my brand in that way. Uh, to be honest, like, how does my website help YouTube? I'm not sure. I'm still experimenting. I know that embedding the YouTube videos in my blog post, it helps.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel I need more time to observe the changes within the website traffic and how that translates into YouTube growth for me. Vice versa, I'm seeing a lot of results, like YouTube to website, a lot of good results. Website to YouTube, I still need more time to experiment with that.
I can comment on that then. Okay, so just to summarize what you said, you've noticed that your YouTube followers do go onto your blog, and they're quite engaged. Like, they don't just go onto your blog, they also sign up for your email newsletter, they follow you on social media. And so what you said in the beginning of this is like, they just don't watch one video, they want to like follow you as a person.
Yeah, exactly. So they want to know who I am, what I have done in the past, where I work. If I'm creating more content elsewhere, they want to know you because they see you through the lens, and it's just much more personable.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said in the beginning, it's also this. I feel that this community, sense of community, is just much more stronger. People. So in some of my videos, if you watch because I did these on maternity leave, in some of the videos I have my daughter with me.
Mm-hmm.
And some people actually even became fans of my daughter too, because it's just much more personable. But if I was to do this via blogging, it's a much different experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think blogging, people just want the information they need from you, and that's it, and they may never go back.
Exactly. And I felt that I observed that I wasn't receiving that many comments from readers on blog.
No, it's
just come visit, they take the information, they go. But on YouTube, I find that if you have binge-worthy content on your channel, people spend hours and hours watching your videos, which is amazing. That's also something else that tells YouTube that, okay, this person is creating, binge-worthy content that people enjoy watching for many hours. So that's, again, something indirectly contributing to your SEO and well-being of your channel.
Yeah, it's very true, right? And videos can be a little bit more passive. Like with a blog, you have to read it. You have to focus quite a bit. With a blog, I do this all the time while I'm working. I like to, or if I spend while quarantining, right? And I was spending days and days by myself, I like to play videos or podcasts in the background and have something to listen.
Exactly. That's what I do too. Like for most videos, if it's not something visual that I want to focus on, then I just have it as audio. And that's what people can do for my videos too, because it's more like just, educational type videos.
I just noticed that a handful of people chimed into the live. Hello to everyone. Just so you know that Alif has a YouTube channel all about marketing. She helps people pursue marketing as a career. And I wanted to mention this earlier, but I forgot. I get about one DM every week, either email or DM, from people that want to pursue marketing as a career, or specifically SEO, and asking for advice. And I always give them a little bit of advice, and then I always direct them to your YouTube channel.
That's amazing.
Follow her. Yeah, because it's really good advice what you're giving, and you give people the full picture. So we talked about how your YouTube subscribers go to other channels, your blog, your email newsletter, and your social media. And so I also asked you if you've seen it vice versa, of people from your website go to your YouTube channel, or if there's any sort of benefit of cross embedding them, I guess we could say. And something I've noticed, simply just using, so I create these Facebook Lives once a week, and I turn these Facebook Lives into content. So I turn into an IGTV video, a YouTube video, I turn into a blog post, I use it for email newsletters, whatever, right? And there's definitely room for improvement in all aspects. But what I've noticed is that for keywords that are extremely competitive, the posts that I have that have videos embedded into them perform better. They can actually get onto the first page. Whereas if I didn't have that video, it would have been really, really difficult. And something that I recommend to anyone is using something called structured data. And I can include the links later on, and I'll turn this into a blog post and I'll include the notes. But if you can create structured data behind your videos, that will help it appear on Google search engine with the blog post. So the way it looks is like you'll get your chances of getting a featured snippets are much higher. So you can get your web page come up with a little box on the side that includes your video, or you'll come up on the, Google has like the search, the images, the news, the videos, so you can come up on the videos section as well. So there are more opportunities for you to come up on Google, and you kind of have a leg up, right? If you're a new website, you don't have a lot of content, you don't have a lot of online coverage like PR and backlinks, then videos definitely give you a leg up. And it also increases, like we said before, right? There are certain metrics that Google pays attention to, and it kind of gives you extra points, right? Like videos get people to spend more time on your website. When people spend more time on your website, that eventually helps your SEO. It's something that Google pays attention to, their signals. This is awesome. Fantastic. That answered all of my questions. Let me check if anybody else has any other questions. Hold on. My Facebook Live is a little off. Hello, Gigi, and Ikram, and Anik, and Alex, and Vienne. Thank you for joining. Let me know if you have any questions for Elif about growing your YouTube channel, how to start, how to grow it, how to make money off it. This is something we haven't talked about. To monetize a YouTube channel. Oh, Alex has a question. Hold on. I just joined, so maybe this was already answered, but when looking on YouTube for a particular piece of information, what can a user look for when deciding which results will provide the best answer? For example, I normally just choose a result that has the most views and is fairly close to the top of the results. What are your thoughts?
So the question is when the viewer is searching for something and how they choose the most qualified video, is it?
Or how do users choose video? So yeah, I think that was the one.
So the thumbnail, and that's why we focused on the click-through rate of the thumbnails. People really do look at the thumbnail. That's why I've realized that many creators spend a lot of time creating those thumbnails and to make it really attractive with keywords or those expressions that we mentioned, like the facial expressions. Because if you see 10 results and one really strikes you with this, with a very attractive, very colorful, whatever thumbnail, then you might go for that. But one thing definitely, I mean, Alex, you're right. People do look at the views. If it's the video that has the most views among the search results, you might go for that one first. But I've realized that as a YouTube viewer myself, I don't always find the best information in the video that has the most views. So I can bounce back very quickly after realizing that it's not for me. Maybe it's the style of the person. Maybe that I realize I'm not. So maybe I have clicked through because the thumbnail is great. It's really attractive. But then as soon as I'm in the video, I sometimes realize it's really not for me. This information is not going where I want it to. So I skip to another one. So I don't know if that answers the question, but one of the main things is the view count, obviously, the thumbnail. I personally look at the title too, because, if it's a very comprehensive title with many keywords that is on my mind for my research, then that's also something that convinces me to click on that one.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think I read a stat maybe about a year ago, so I don't know how accurate this still is, but I read that up to 70% of the videos the average YouTube user watches is not something they actually search. It was something that was suggested to them on the side panel. And so I'm interested if you know anything about that, like how can people get into the side panel? What is the algorithm behind that?
I mean, it's basically a combination of everything that we've talked about, like all of the SEO practices that you've put into your video. But then also, once YouTube realizes that your video is getting a lot of engagement, it's driving you subscribers, it's driving a lot of comments on, and conversation, then it starts to make it more visible in that sidebar, recommended bar, and also on YouTube search as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I mean, getting on YouTube search is something on its own, because there is a lot of videos. Like, the competition is often high for, unless you're in a very, very specific niche, the competition tends to be very high, just as if it is on Google. And you have
Yeah.
less elements to play around with when you're in YouTube compared to a website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think at the end of the day, it's quite personalized to the user, right? So if you can work on
Yeah.
just getting really good content and making it engaging, that's a metric that will help. But at the end of the day, it depends on the user and what they've been watching in the past, and that's going to
Yeah.
influence what Google recommends. Anik says, how do you even get started with starting a YouTube channel? Aside from telling your friends, what's the next important platform to advertise on? Okay, so you create a YouTube channel, you start putting up videos, you tell some of your friends, then what? Oh, she says, and if you don't have a website.
Do you have social media channels?
Hmm.
Promote on all social media channels. Be shameless. Be shameless with telling your friends. And also, one great tip that I'm also trying to implement is, so let's say you have 10 friends that you tell about, and ask your friends, each one of them, to tell another friend. Just ask them a favor, just one favor before I go. Can you please share this channel with one friend today? Something like that. Just try to create that snowball effect
Mm-hmm.
starting within your own network. You can use, I mean, it's not really favorable to use Facebook groups and stuff like that to promote your channel. But if you see a conversation where a video that you have is very relevant, like it's very, you think it's going to provide value to that conversation, add your link there.
Mm-hmm.
Or, DM that person talking about that, or asking question about that topic on a Facebook group or a LinkedIn post. Just DM them and say, I have this content, maybe this can help you out with, your question. That could be it. And also, when you're starting new, and if, I think it is really important to focus on SEO with your videos, so that the it kind of the platform kind of helps you too, because your network is like, it does have its boundaries.
Yeah.
But shamelessly use all social media platforms. Some people use Reddit. I haven't used, I'm not a Reddit user, so I'm not present there, but I know Reddit is also a great platform to talk
Mm-hmm.
about these, like, and Quora as well. You can go on to Quora, you can see the conversations, and if something is very relevant, like if it's asking a question that your video is answering, then communicate it there too.
Yeah, yeah. It's true. When you don't have an audience, you have to be shameless in the beginning.
Yeah, and just
Until it
ask
builds up.
people. Like, I know it's a challenge. Like that's why there's. I don't know if you ever heard about this, but I really love this. The coffee challenge. You go to a coffee shop, and it's basically just to practice your fear muscle.
Okay.
You go to a coffee shop or whatever, it could be any shop, and you ask for a discount. Even though you think they won't give you a discount, just you go and ask for it. It's basically just to practice that fear muscle, and you can do it with anything. If it's like promoting your content, you can still do that too. Like, you can just ask someone to promote it for you. Like, if they have, if the worst thing is they can say no.
Yeah. That's good advice. I have one last question. If anybody that's watching has any more questions, let me know before we wrap up. My last question is, how long does it take for SEO, YouTube SEO, to kick in? I don't know if this is something that people talk about in the YouTube world or something that you've noticed on your own. I know in general website SEO, it can really depend. It could take like 3 weeks to 6 months, depending how competitive the topic is, or how many users you already, like, how big your audience is. But yeah, it
It,
typically takes 3 to 6 months. What about in YouTube?
I'm not sure if we can give an average time on YouTube, or maybe I am not that experienced with it to give a range of time, but I haven't actually seen this being talked about either. I know that, when I've listened to some other creators' stories, I know that most of the times it does take some time for you to start from zero. But if you have a specific niche, then it might be a totally different ball game. Or if you do a collab with an already, big channel, or someone who has a big influence on another channel, it doesn't matter.
So
It
collaborations.
help you out, and that's actually one of the reasons why you'll see a lot of collabs on YouTube, whether it is a DIY channel or whether it's a business channel. So many people are doing collabs. It really supports both of the channels. So that's one way that people can, people use like a strategy to grow.
Have you, when you first started, did you notice how long it took for the traffic to kick in? Because you said that once you've picked a niche, like you picked a niche, and did you see the traffic pretty much immediately after, or did it take some time? Because I imagine like once you have like 1,000 followers or something, then it's a lot easier. Oh, sorry, we're overlapping. Sorry, say that again.
I think it still took some. I'm trying to think like how it was, but I think it still was a slow progress. And so far from most stories I see, it can be a slow progress. But if one of your goals with YouTube is to monetize, the growth of your channel isn't parallel with when you can monetize your channel. So maybe that's something to consider there, because if you want to do it to support your business in terms of the content strategy, then it's different. Maybe your maybe your primary goal in that case won't be to grow the channel, but to create video content that can support you with other platforms. So the goal of having the YouTube channel also changes, I think. Your expectations, and like if you're doing it to monetize, if you're going to be a content creator on YouTube and your goal is to monetize your channel, you want to sell things, or get ad revenue, then it's different. Then you don't really need to grow your channel to tens of thousands of subscribers to be able to do that if you have a niche. If you're creating videos to support your business, which you are selling services through or products, then it's different. Then maybe you don't need to grow your channel that fast, but you need to put out videos with, so one thing maybe that I should mention here is the growth of your subscribers isn't equal to how many people you are reaching through a video, because maybe people are coming to your channel. Maybe one of your videos is getting a lot of views and the engagement is great, but people aren't subscribing because you don't have binge-worthy content on your channel, because they don't see a reason to come back to your channel. They've seen that video, they've really liked it, they took value out of it, and maybe they became your customer, but it doesn't mean that they have to subscribe to your channel. So I guess there are many parameters that we should think about or mention when we're talking about YouTube growth.
This has been fantastic.
That was a confused answer to an important question, but I hope I got my point across.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, you have to think about why you're using the channel. What do you want to get out of it? What are your goals? And then you can set expectations accordingly, right? It's all about, I think there's an expression like the key to happiness is managing expectations. So if you want to get here, like your expectation is here, then, but it's unrealistic.
Let's kind of think of it in a website scenario. You might have a blog post that is driving an immense amount of traffic to your website and creating a lot of leads for your website, but it doesn't mean that you might sell a huge service to that customer, but it doesn't mean that they become a fan of your website and they become a newsletter subscriber, if that makes sense. So YouTube, subscribing to a YouTube channel is kind of like that. You might get a lot of benefits from a video that you have on your channel, and you might get a lot of views and engagement and even clients from one specific video, but it might not translate into a subscriber count.
Yeah. That's been awesome. Thank you so much. I don't think there are any other questions. But if anybody has any more questions, they can, and they're watching the replay, they can message, and then Elif, if you want, you can reply.
I'll for sure check out the comments later on once the replay is available. And if there are more questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much.
Awesome.
I really appreciate
Thanks for hosting me. I love this conversation. I love talking about this.
This has been super informative. I took so many notes. I have so many Post-its. This has been super informative.
You're a multitasker. You're managing the Facebook Live, this video, and taking notes. Amazing.
Anik says, thanks for the awesome tips. Gigi says, I enjoyed this. Thanks. And
fabulous. Thank you. Fantastic. Great.
Highly appreciate it.
I'm happy that it was valuable.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, have a good night, everyone. And I'll turn this into a blog post, and you can get more notes and more information about Elif from there. But otherwise, the replay is available on the Facebook page.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much, Daniela.
Ciao.
And everyone watching, bye-bye.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye. Also, just a little note here. If you like the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe and comment. It really helps to support the growth of this channel and motivates me to make more videos like this one for you. So please don't forget, and I love you. Take care.